Hello, folks. I got wearing my headset this time, so in case there was any problem hearing me in the last video. But anyway, so I've been talking about this Book of Two Ways, and it's a specific version of the Book of Two Ways. I do want to get something to actually hold the phone more more steady, but anyway, I can't find this Book of Two Ways online. Basically, every time I discover shit like this, they seem to get rid of it. It's pretty fucked up. It almost makes me want to stop, but I can't really stop. Because as soon as I discovered the ancient Egyptian maps of America, these as soon as I discovered these maps, then as soon as I discovered this map, the Egyptian government destroyed it. And the Egyptian government is just the U.S. government, so might have been basically dictated from outside, but either way, they erased the map after I discovered it, and they did I don't know. They did that, so they this was the map. This is part of the map, and then this is that same part of the map, but they destroyed it. So yeah, as you can see, this guy here and that guy there, for some reason they didn't destroy that. They were okay, that's okay, we'll allow this guy to stay here. But they claimed that this wasn't a map and that it was actually a stain, and so they supposedly cleaned the stain. Look at this, cleaned the stain. They destroyed all of this. Evil scum. Anyway, so that's what they do. And so recently I discovered the other side. There's a later version of this, and because there's a lot of different iterations of it from the Middle Kingdom, and well, these are basically the later ones. So this one is the 5,500-year-old one, which was part of the basis for these later ones. Yeah, basically all those other ones are later. These are the Books of Two Ways. So they're from the Middle Kingdom. And this is the earliest Book of Two Ways, but it's based on this one. And they didn't realize that this one was made inside out. It's made as an Antipodes map, modern Antipodes maps where everything is flipped. And so they treated it as a bird's eye view map, a regular map from above. So because actually, this, you have to flip it like this if you want to see the bird's eye view. This is looking at America from Egypt straight through the planet, treating as if the rest of the earth was fully transparent and you could just look at America from underneath. So in which case, of course, the coasts would be flipped. So yeah, I flipped it back. So we have Florida on the right side now on the literally the right side, and the east side, and then Baja on the west side, and Yucatan on the east side, and Brazil on the east side, and then it has it pointing, the tip of southern tip of South America has it pointing basically due west, which is not entirely true. Like, it doesn't exactly point due west, but overall it curls, its shape is curling in that direction. So, this map is not entirely based on just north and south, because part of it, you have to manipulate it somewhat to fit all the land masses properly and show somewhat of their relation to each other on a flat surface, because, the curvature of the earth, you can't really ever do it justice on a flat surface. So they had it pointing to the west, but this one, because they didn't realize it's flipped, they copied it, and so they have it pointing due east, but they added it together with at least one other map of America from a bird's eye view. So you have a mix where some parts of this are, like this part is somewhat accurate for the coast there of, Alaska, Canada, Western Canada and the Western US. This part is kind of accurate for Oaxaca. There's kind of a pointy inlet there, and a kind of an isthmus. I forget the name of it. And, it has seems to have the river here, the Rio Grande de Santiago. So it has a lot of the stuff accurately from a bird's eye view, but it also includes this. So it also has inaccuracies based on confusion over this. And then once they realized that this seemed to be exaggerated, that this wasn't really how the coast looked, then they also decided to exaggerate everything else on this side, or at least around here. They exaggerated they made Brazil look like this skinny, pointy peninsula, and then they made this is like probably where Honduras and like Nicaragua are, and they turned it into a long skinny peninsula. So they're just kind of thinking like, okay, well, if we're gonna put this here where it doesn't seem to fit the actual geography, we might as well just turn everything into that, so that it doesn't make it look like Argentina is further east than eastern Brazil, which it certainly isn't. So anyway, that's part of the history of that. But there's like a later version even that also has, Afro-Eurasia in it. I mean, even that early version has Afro-Eurasia in it. Like this version has at least part of Afro-Eurasia. It has like, West Africa, Southern Africa, Antarctica, has like Siberia, Eastern Siberia, Japan, Japanese islands depicted as ibexes, the Korean Peninsula, and China here, the kind of steady, bump of China there. And then this is like either Leizhou Peninsula and Hainan Island, or it's part of Indochina, Southeast Asia or something. So anyway, this one even has a lot of Afro-Eurasia in it. And so do I think a lot of the books of two ways have like certainly text relating to the geography of Afro-Eurasia. But this version, there's a later version of the Book of Two Ways that's still in the Middle Kingdom, still like closer to 4,000 years old than it is probably to 3,000, but it's a different style. They basically rediscovered the fact that the original one was flipped, and so it's this one here. So the people who made this, they're later than this one. This is like B3C. This is a really beautiful one, but it's very inaccurate in certain ways, like I said, where due to the mistake of not flipping the earlier version, like the Hierakonpolis model. So, so they have like this huge weird peninsula here, and they have Brazil as this weird peninsula, and Honduras and Nicaragua and everything. Although they got Florida better in a certain sense there, and they got anyway, so it's kind of a mix. Each one tries to like improve certain aspects, but then sometimes they add new mistakes. So this is a later version, and the way they were actually read, like the way the text is like this. So with west as up, east as down, and so in this version they flipped America back. So, and it's a weird version. Like here's a version of that's that version, but it's not flipped. So this is probably an intermediary iteration of it. And let's see. Now, sorry, I'm trying to save my place there. All right, so this one looks the same basically. It's the same style as this other later one, and but it's flipped. The coasts are flipped. So whereas in this later one, this is on this side, like this shape, which is basically Alaska and Western Canada, and then here is basically this is basically the US, the Western US, and then this is Mexico, Baja California. So this is all the West Coast is on the top, as it is in all of these. So the difference in a sense is that they still have west as up, but they flipped, but this one flips north and south. So either way, it ends up having flipped coasts. So this one is looking at America from underneath, the same as the original Hierakonpolis map, and seeing the west coast on this side and the east coast on this side. And this also has a bunch of illustrations for Afro-Eurasia on this side. So this is a map of the planet, this coffin bottom. These are painted on the bottoms of coffins underneath the corpse, basically, under the mummy. And they're maps of the planet. So this is a way to pass down all of your accumulated knowledge to your sons, is you just are buried with it in your coffin. So they're the only ones that would be able to see it, only them and the priests who made it, or who helped make it, or whoever, made it. I mean, basically, I'm sure priests were involved. I don't know. It'd be interesting to know who was all involved in it. It was clearly a very specialized tradition. But anyway, so these, it shows all these gatekeepers up here. So gatekeepers being people that are entities that block gateways and passages, and like they're in the text, they're often just called guardians or guards. So, and in Egyptian they're called akh, which might be kind of another name for that, or it's unclear exactly its etymology. Like it's probably related to Akhet, because the Akhet, I think, tends to mean the horizon, and it's spelled AKH too, I believe. I don't know, hard to know. Anyway, so these I basically finally discovered what all these Afro-Eurasian gatekeepers are. I finally identified all of them except this one. I'm still a little torn of what it is, whether it's Leizhou Peninsula and Hainan Island in China, or whether it's Taiwan and possibly an island or two nearby. I don't know. But the rest of these I basically identified, and I posted online about it. And I was using like a pretty crisp, good version of this photo before I even bought this book. Like a photo that was online on some, I forget which website, but I think it was there for years because I had downloaded it multiple times. And it's, it was very clear and good version, basically like this. And it's now gone from the internet. So I don't know. It's just, I'm not saying like it's directly because of me discovering this, but it's just weird that both maps, as soon as I fully identify it, the American map, well, at least the American map of Hierakonpolis, I'm not sure if they've done anything to sabotage the Book of Two Ways America maps that I've deciphered. But anyway, these, so it's interesting. So this is turned inside out compared to like the regular version like this. In the regular version, South America is on the left, North America is on the right, and West is up. But here, West is still up, but North America is on the left and South America is on the right. But it matches to this one, which is a map of Afro-Eurasia, more or less. I don't know if map is the right word, but a cartographic, it's a series of maps, you could say. It's a Ptolemaic or pre-Ptolemaic cosmology. So anyway, this is Siberia here. This is Britain and Ireland there. So this, that's the that is the direction of everything. So this corresponds to, that was partly how I figured this out, was because they put, Eastern Siberia here across from Alaska here. So that part is, pretty accurate and straightforward. This is Kamchatka Peninsula and the adjacent Kuril Islands. This is Japan, this is Korea, this is either Leizhou, Hainan, or Taiwan or something. This is the Malay Peninsula, this is Java and Sumatra. This is Sri Lanka, and so anyway. And it's interesting that even in later maps, they use this same technique or device of flipping what basically Oh, well, for one thing, I should say that it turned out that not only is the America part flipped, but the edges of Afro-Eurasia are also flipped. So Kamchatka Peninsula and these Kuril Islands near it are flipped, you know, like the same way as this is, the same way as America is. So is on this far side the Pillars of Hercules and British Isles are both flipped in the exact same way. So basically it shows that what we have now, our system of, you know, Eastern and Western hemispheres, which, you know, begin in England, you know, the Western hemisphere begins in England, at least the official one, and it goes all the way to Eastern Siberia, even though America is the heart of it and kind of defines it. But because Afro-Eurasia is so big that, you know, it includes multiple parts of it, it includes all of West Africa, certainly the Pillars of Hercules, Gibraltar, and Elmina. So, but it turned out that this same device was used in later maps that people had. Let's see. Where, like this one. Okay, so this is like an ancient map of, seems to me to be an ancient map of, an ancient map of North America, you know, showing Florida here and like this kind of place around Tallahassee hills and stuff, there being this little point right there, and then this other point right here being you know, this place like New Orleans or somewhere around there, and then, you know, Floridian peninsula, and then even kind of the shape of the coast north of Florida seems to be shown here, and then in this, but it's portrayed as a river. And it actually, let me see if I can find what I just had downloaded. It's so hard for me to like use these whatever this is called, not a mouse, but terrible non-mouse. All right, maybe this. So yeah, this is where it is. So it's flipped, seemingly, if that's what it is, because it fits so well to the shape of all that, and it doesn't fit well at all to the shape of much else. What am I doing? All right, let me see if I can expand on this thought. Well, so yeah, so this is like India right here, right? This is Iran or Afghanistan, no, Pakistan, or I don't know what. Anyway, maybe this is, no, yeah, this is Iran. And maybe that's Hormuz or something, or I don't know. And so this is India, and then after India is all this. So first of all, like this doesn't really match, because what's really, you know, east of India is Southeast Asia, Indochina, basically the Malay Peninsula, And this is not, it doesn't look like this, at all, really. I mean, you could maybe make an argument for how somebody might have confused certain aspects of it, but just overall, and then there shouldn't be anything else here. But the thing is, during the Ice Age, when this map was made, because this map was made when Greenland was still attached to Eurasia. So, and at that time, America was still part of Asia, or, basically it was attached to Asia by the Bering Land Bridge. So, probably seemingly wherever, or exactly where it would be here, right? But anyway, this still is a very strange map, because then what becomes of everything in between? But this is what it seems to be, is that somehow this is America, and just put inside out, it's flipped east to west, and it's just attached onto there, and then they just didn't include East Asia or Southeast Asia. Well, I guess Southeast Asia is part of East Asia. It's like a lot of times East Asia, I think, has a connotation of just meaning like China, and immediately basically China, or China and Japan or something. But I think it should include also like Eastern Siberia and Southeast Asia just as much, if East is like a direction. Anyway, so that's an interesting thing, that they used this same technique of flipping the underworld. And it kind of makes sense, because then you can take this, what you can do is, if you put this on a papyrus, you can roll it and you'll make a globe, and it will be kind of anatomically correct in a sense, because although no, then that still wouldn't really work. It's more like if you were looking through, if somehow, like, say all of this is like the Pacific Ocean would be in the way of this. But let's say you could look straight through the Pacific and the Earth, and then see on the other side that Florida is on the left side, and Alaskan Peninsula here is on the right side. So, it's a trip, but it's understandable why some of the ancients got confused about it as well. So anyway, what else? So this shows on the Afro-Eurasian side, like Kamchatka Peninsula, Japan. The peninsula is flipped, so the tail is pointing the wrong way in this depiction, because it's considered as part of the underworld. But yeah, this is Sri Lanka and nearby islands, and Sumatra, Java, Malay Peninsula. And, some of it's pretty exact, like the Malay Peninsula is pretty depicted very close to what it actually looks like. But let's see, I think it's about to cut me off, but there was something else I wanted to show. This is Japan, Britain, this is Kamchatka and Kurils, British Isles again, Pillars of Hercules, Greece and Thrace, Mediterranean, and please tell me this is the other one I wanted to show, which better not cut me off before I can show it. All right, so yeah, this This is showing how the islands are the white parts of the snake. You know, this is like Shumshu, Paramushir, and you can see like Shumshu, Paramushir is really the same shape once you flip the photo, reverse the sides of it. That's the only way to get the correct match on these basically side gatekeepers or first gatekeepers of the Western Hemisphere in the modern and ancient. I mean, technically, Kamchatka is just shy of being in the Western Hemisphere, but I think symbolically, as being the easternmost peninsula and gatekeeper, it was considered to be part of the underworld, the American Hemisphere. All right, so that's pretty much my spiel, and I'm surprised it hasn't cut me off yet, but it usually cuts me off about now. My phone does. All right, thank you very much, and have a good one.